What is going on, Chaz? We are live.
What is up, entrepreneurs? You are tuned into the non-corporate network. You are watching Entreprenews, a combination of CNBC and ESPN, where Dustin and I debate the top 6 trending small business headlines. We debate each story for 3 minutes each. You got your boxing gloves ready, Dustin?
I got my boxing gloves ready, and I'm ready for the belt.
Oh, gosh. He wears a size extra small boxing glove. Weak arguments.
Small gloves, big punch, buddy.
Well, are you ready to dive into it? Anything you want to mention before we turn up here?
Yeah, no, I mean, just thank you guys for tuning in. Looking forward to getting a couple W's today.
Oh yeah, okay, we'll see about that. All right, well, diving into our first story then. Apple's next iPhone update adds privacy protections, and you won't be able to miss them. This is long overdue, but a couple of things to mention here. The latest version of iOS for iPhones will visually notify users when apps are accessing the device's microphone and camera, the clipboard, and other sensitive data. You'll also be able to select the photos that you give apps access to as opposed to giving them access to your entire camera roll. Should we be clapping for Apple, or should we be asking them why this took so long, Dustin?
Clapping. I mean, it's one of those things where you just kind of go to market and then you listen to what the market is saying. Granted, there's probably been a lot more noise around data protection, data privacy, having more control over your data, but big companies are slow to move, and someone had to do it. I mean, it could have been Google, it could have been Amazon, it could have been a handful of other huge companies that are sitting on tons of data, but someone had to do it. And so I think, kudos to Apple for making it happen. As a marketer, it makes me like, that's not cool because they have less data to target. But I mean, that's the whole point of it. Allow people to have access to the data so that they can't be targeted by ads and all that type of stuff. But I mean, what are your thoughts on them rolling this out?
I mean, how long has the iPhone been out, and how long have we been doing these push notifications? I mean, if we're thinking about advertising, I mean, it's been at least 15 years. So I'm looking at this going, it took that long for us to finally go, all right, we're going to let users know that we're using their microphones, or we're going to remind them that we're videotaping this conversation that they're having. It just goes back to this whole, okay, I'll accept the terms and services so I can get started, and then I'll just forget about all the stuff that's being grabbed from me. And, ignorance is bliss in the mind of Apple, as well as all of these other businesses. And finally, we're woke. And so there was no rushing to do this. I mean, if you have billions of dollars in R&D budget on a yearly basis, you're telling me that they couldn't get 3 engineers to put this functionality in 10 years ago? I mean, it really was just, let's wait until there's such a large outcry and so much policy getting put into data privacy that we can't hold out on this anymore. Like, you're telling me they put 3 cameras on the phone before they told you when you're being recorded and your microphone's being used. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I'm not going to high five them for anything.
Yeah, I mean, with all this being said, it's like, oh, cool, they're doing this. I mean, they made a lot of money with the data in terms of how to build out products and all that type of stuff and selling the data. One thing that, isn't mentioned in here that probably should be is, all right, well, therefore going that, they probably have something cooking up that's going to collect more data somehow, some way that they can make revenue. So it's like, cool, we all give our thumbs up to them, but they have something brewing, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, shame on Apple for trying to make a headline out of this and make it seem like a positive spin on the whole thing. All right, well, getting into our next story, America needs higher skilled workers. We talk about this a lot on this show. AI is starting to phase out some jobs. It's going to be a trend that continues. And there's a couple of ways that it's being combated. The Skills Renewal Act was just passed that gives a $4,000 tax credit to newly unemployed workers seeking training in high demand areas. Amazon has come out and created what's called upskilling employees, where they give them access to training in anticipation for AI becoming more into the fold. And, according to LinkedIn, we got a list here of the top 5 jobs in terms of gross amount of listings for jobs on LinkedIn. Number 1 listing right now is sales representatives, followed by software developers, project managers, customer service specialists, and finally data analysis or data analysts. Who's responsible for increasing the skill set of workers? Does that fall on us as workers to get that training and seek that training ourselves, or should businesses be doing more to equip the employees that they have with more relevant skill sets?
I think it's a little bit of both. It's, everyone talks about how robots and AI are going to take jobs. So it's like everyone knows that that's going to happen. If you're going to sit back and not gain new knowledge, new skills, you're going to kind of fall behind. And so it's up to the person to figure out how they can be employable through their skills and whatnot as time moves on. But it's also up to jobs to educate. What is it that the demand is going to be? What jobs are going to be created? Granted, they can't see the future and they don't know 100% know, but I mean, any business that is getting more into data, more into everything like that, it's going to take not a unique person, but it's going to take new skill sets, new knowledge in order to be able to get the job done. And so it's like, why not create some type of training program? I like that there's some incentive on the training side. I mean, granted, $4,000 for what, a $50,000-$60,000 degree or whatever that may be. I mean, at least it's a step in the right direction, but I think it falls on a little bit of everyone. Everyone as a society can see the writing is on the walls that AI and automation is going to take stuff. What can we do to get people up to speed on how to build more AI, how to leverage it, how to look at data, how to use data to build businesses? I mean, it's all there. Let's figure out how we can educate more so we can employ more people. Otherwise, we're going to go to, the basic income. People aren't going to have jobs anyway. As America, we're going to fall behind. I mean, China is growing very quickly in the tech sector. And so, it's up to us to figure it out and come together to do it.
As a college graduate, and I know a lot of you guys out there that are watching this are college graduates, it kind of frustrates me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I mean, if you're going to tell me that an Amazon training degree is going to be just as valuable, if not more valuable to me getting a job than a college degree, I mean, outside of your medical programs or things that require very specific training, like you're going to business school, you're going to get a communications degree, like that just doesn't matter anymore is what I'm hearing. That fires me up. I mean, especially with how much debt there is in this bubble. So I think that, it falls on the shoulders of policymakers and as well as just people in the education sector. What are we doing for people that are in middle school and high school? How are we training them to, come into this new modern world? Are we still using textbooks and printouts and talking about things that are outdated? I think it's there needs to be a lot of reform there as well. And I mean, we need to get the ball rolling, but it does fall on policymakers.
Yep.
Well, getting into our next story here, we are living in Tinder boom times. Yes, I said Tinder. Messages shot up about 20%, and conversation lengths jumped up about 25% just last month. It was the 3rd highest grossing app above Netflix and Disney Plus. Let me say that one more time. Higher grossing in terms of revenue generated last month than Netflix and Disney Plus. This is absolutely insane. We talk about how there's mental health implications of being remote and being in solitude. I guess from a Tinder standpoint, can they continue to reinvent their brand and stick around and kind of, become a little bit more relevant as opposed to just a transactional app? And what does this say about us as Americans and the trends that are happening?
I mean, in terms of what it says about us, people are just looking for connection with people being secluded and in isolation for so long. I mean, it's people just want to talk and communicate. I mean, what happens after that initial conversation, that's what the app is actually used for. That's another story. But I think people want the communication. People want to be connected. And I think, it's pretty eye-opening. I mean, we've had stories about, the mental health side of things and jobs needing to do or businesses need to do a better job at helping with that. But it amazes me that it had grossed more revenue than Netflix and other large apps, Disney Plus. I mean, from a marketing standpoint, it seems like attention is there. I'd be interested to see what ads would do, and if you can be creative in knowing that people are wanting connection, coming up with messaging around that type of thing on connecting with their business. I mean, you can get pretty creative with the creative on that. But I mean, what are your thoughts on all of this?
Well, I'm sure the click-through rate is absolutely through the roof. If people are sitting there spamming the like button and then it pops an ad up and they're like, oh, dang it, I clicked yes to that. And they keep having to open up all these different ads. So I'm sure that whether or not it's representative of how much, ROI there is from an advertising standpoint, I think it's definitely got higher than average click-through rates. I think in terms of the mental health side of this, I look at this as we're really kind of in this bridge where we're creating digital personas of ourselves. Obviously, this is something that's been done on social media as a digital extension of yourself. Your Tinder profile is a digital extension of yourself. And it's almost like we're creating this almost schizophrenic society of I can hide behind a keyboard and have my perfect life on Instagram, and that maybe isn't indicative of who I really am, but no one's really going to know that. And so we end up living these separate lives, and I think that's not very healthy, especially from a mental health standpoint. We see a lot of this blowback, and we've talked about a lot of stories on this show where those claims are rising. Businesses are trying to do more for their employees, but I think it really kind of permutates that kind of behavior. And there's going to be new diseases that are out there that are undiagnosed in terms of, technology dependency and, losing your identity a little bit.
Yep.
Well, before we get into our next story, want to mention that we are partnered with and powered by State 48. They are an amazing company based out of Arizona. We are so proud of them. And, for those of you that don't know, State 48, Arizona, 48 state in the continental U.S. So just wanted to make that tie. But yeah, Dustin, do you have anything you want to mention about State 48?
Yeah, no, clothing for all inspired by Arizona. I know I said it before, but they just do a lot of partnerships and collaborations with some great nonprofits here in the Valley, along with have their own clothing line as well. But they just do a lot with giving proceeds and donating proceeds to good causes. So check them out, state48.com.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys. They got some amazing merchandise.
Absolutely. So going to our next topic. So most CEOs are optimistic about the future. There were 170 CEOs from mid-sized businesses, and let's remember, mid-size is anyone that's doing 100 million or more. So these aren't just small mom and pop businesses. But 57% said that they're confident that things will get back to normal or better within 6 months, and 43% of those people said that it could happen they see it happening in 5 months or less. So it could be 2 months, it could be 3 months, but a pretty quick recovery coming from CEOs that are running bigger sized businesses. And almost zero of these people said that their business has been negatively impacted severely. I mean, there's a couple things in there. I mean, define severely. Is it a drop in revenue by 40%, 60%? Kind of vague there. But overall, there's a lot of optimism in terms of just the economy and business in general. With CEOs being this confident, should America be this confident? Should the world be this confident? I mean, the stock market reflects a good recovery. Things are coming back. I mean, what are your thoughts on just the optimism coming from, a handful of these CEOs?
So surprised the CEOs are saying that their businesses aren't doing poorly during this time, Dustin. I think that, of course, they're going to say that. Of course, they're going to say that they're doing well. They have shareholders and other stakeholders and a board to answer to. Of course, they're going to breathe optimism into the business. That's how you run a business. But as you mentioned, these mid-sized businesses, I'm sure that they're not as affected as a small business. They're like, well, we're hurting, but, we've got a bunch of new customers coming from these small businesses going out of business. And it also doesn't say, what industries we're talking about here. I mean, I'm sure that if you're working at Zoom or, working at a place like that, it's like, yeah, I'm sure your business is going to be fine. But, I think that, no, this is not indicative of, obviously, of small businesses, of the amount of people that are unemployed. Yay, glad that if you're making 100 mil that you're doing well. I'd hope so. If you're not sitting on some cash, then and you got your triple P infusion before all the small businesses anyway, it's like, of course they're going to be doing better. So, I'm here standing with the small businesses, and I think of course they're going to say these things.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the CEOs have to say something good. It's it's anonymous. It's not like they list all 170 people and say this guy said he's doing good or bad. So I mean, there is that wall to hide behind where you can be an open book. But I mean, to your point, most CEOs are very ambitious. Don't want to admit defeat, and so there is that part of it. But I think something you bring up that is very interesting is just the whole divide that we've been talking about between the drop in small business and the incline in larger business. And so we'll see how that trends as we move forward.
Yeah.
Yep. So going on to our next story. So Facebook and Sony, they're ramping up the output of their gaming devices. So Sony on the PS5, they've ramped up production on the PS5, going from 5 million units up to 9 million. Facebook plans to increase the output of their Oculus device by 50% over the next 12 weeks. I think their biggest goal is to make devices more wearable, lightweight, basically getting more people to use it and for a longer period of time. I mean, they just partnered up with the PS5 coming out. Is this going to help expedite just the VR space in general? Do they have things on the back end that are going to expedite this? I mean, we talk about VR quite a bit. What are your thoughts on just these numbers of more gaming devices hitting the market?
I mean, I've been looking at these stories for the last 2 years, and every year it's like, oh yeah, VR is going to crush it this year. This is going to be the year for it. And then nothing happens for another year, and we continue to be excited about it. It's like, I think that these stories are going a little bit stale until they do something drastic where you don't have a cinder block balanced on your head. Then nobody's going to want to wear it. And the other side of it too is that, in order for to be able to create a device that is less intrusive, it is going to cost significantly more. And, what percentage of consumers are out there just willing to blow, $5,000 of disposable income to buy a device like this? So I think that they have to keep the prices under control. And just like any tech company, they're going to release a handful of features at a time. They're not going to put everything into the next device. And so from a VR standpoint, I'm not super bullish. I've been hearing these stories. The Oculus has been on back order for the last year. Good luck, but I doubt that we're going to see any kind of crazy change over the next 6 to 8 months. I am excited about the PS5 for sure. But, again, they're just breadcrumb trails of little improvements, right? Oh, we're not doing the disc slot anymore. Oh, the controllers look a little bit better. Oh, we can do Bluetooth now. It's not like, hey, we're going fully to, phase 2. It's going to be continuing to be slight improvements in the next few years. So I'm not super bullish on this.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that's different about the last couple of years is this year, people have to stay in. So we have more time that we're staying in. I mean, some of those people that are swiping quite a bit on Tinder, I think now's the opportunity to really shove it down consumers' throats. And I mean, as people are staying in, they might be more inclined. Those people that were always like, no, I'm good. I like to go hiking or be out and about, whatever it may be. Those people that have been, secluded for a while. Now that the idea of jumping into this and actually using it, it sounds a little bit more appealing. And as you have more people that go into it, you're gonna have people that realize, oh wow, this is sweet. So we'll see what happens. But I think the timing is right. Whether they do a good job on the innovation and making it more consumable and all that, I think only time will tell.
Yeah, no, I mean, it'll be interesting. They're releasing the PS5 right before Christmas, so I'm sure they're going to clean up with that. Oculuses are going to be on back order again, but I think it takes a little more distribution to be able to really bring this to fruition from 80% of consumers owning one.
Yep, and on to our final story. So Goldman Sachs profits blow past estimates, and their stocks have surged. They posted a 93% surge in revenue quarter over quarter. Their pre-market shares this morning were up 2%. their net earnings rose 2% to $2.25 billion, while the investment banking side of things, the revenue there grew about 36% to $2.66 billion. That all sounds good. I mean, they're heavy in the banking industry. So I guess my question is, like, is this a good positive note for the economy, or is this just pumped up because of all the money that banks are making from processing PPP loans like we discussed in our last episode? You know, a lot of banks are making more money processing these in 3 months than they did all of 2019. And so is this artificial? Is this good? I mean, what are your thoughts and on this?
You know, it's just another example of a business that, like their size, it is a notoriously corrupt business, a notoriously for-profit and screw everyone else business that is up 93% during this time. I mean, it blows me away to see that they're doing so well and capitalizing off of the issues of the American people. It's one of those things where it's like they're too big to fail. And, I'm looking through this story right now, and it just blows my mind to see that, just the raw numbers of how well this is going for them. They set aside $1.6 billion for loans that could potentially go bad. So I think that they're already kind of hedging their bet of like, hey, we know that not everybody's going to pay it back. And so I mean, it's hard. The banks themselves are definitely cleaning up off of this. And it's just, we've got banks that are doing well. We've got big businesses that are doing well. Wall Street is doing well, yet the American people are in the street. Small businesses are going out of business. And the banks that are supposed to be helping to fund the small businesses and keep them alive are now doing double their revenue, while the small businesses are doing 10% of their revenue or going out of business. It just seems backwards to me. I thought that these policies were supposed to help increase the well-being of those businesses, but yet these big guys are capitalizing off of it and the small businesses are going out of business.
Yeah, I mean, it's knowing how much money they're making in the processing of these loans. I mean, it's like the whole goal of these loans were to help small business. I'm surprised that policy updates weren't made. I mean, there's a huge reserve of PPP loans. They're extending how long these are available for. They should do something to switch up the processing, put something in place to where we put more money in small businesses' pockets rather than Goldman Sachs pockets that are already doing billions of dollars a year. I think it's artificially inflated just because so many banks are making so much money off of the processing. And I mean, it goes to show, I think there's a different or a better way to approach these PPP loans that leads us to accomplishing the goals, which is helping small businesses employ more people. So I
thought the goal was to make it as challenging as possible to apply for it and not tell you what you were getting and then screw you over on the back end, all while helping out the 50 top companies that are notoriously corrupt and want to prey off of the misfortunes of the small businesses and, lower and middle class. I think that's what I thought it was for.
Yeah. And I mean, you wonder if things haven't been changed because you got lobbyists and politicians here to not change some of these policies. And so, which, goes to what you're just saying, where it's help the big business, forget about the small business and create more monopolies. But we'll see how that pans out.
I could sit here and throw my computer against the wall and dance around pissed off. That's not going to do anything. These were fun. I think my favorite story or my most surprised story was the fact that Tinder is doing more revenue last month than Netflix or Disney Plus. That just blows my mind. We don't think of them as a big competitor or a big name, and they're just slowly and silently doing millions and millions a month.
Yep. Another one I liked was Facebook but Apple updating their privacy policy, and I'm more interested in that because I want to see how that kind of impacts the advertising market. I mean, Google's getting rid of cookies. There's more ad blockers. There's more stuff to prevent digital marketing from reaching the right people. And so it'll make it more challenging, which is always fun. So I'm excited to see how that kind of plays itself out.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see. Well, thank you guys for tuning in today. Again, you've been watching the Non-Corporate Network. This is Entreprenews. It is content by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. If you want to start your own show, you want to bring your message to the people, whether you're in Shanghai or Scottsdale, we can help you out. We want to work with you. If you got some message you want to bring to the world, use our resources. We're here to help. Our real goal here is to just bring you the unfiltered truth. In times where you're wondering who to believe, you don't have to believe us, but you at least know that we're not getting lobbied to write certain stories. We're just here to kind of give our unbiased takes. So, Dustin, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, just appreciate you guys tuning in. I mean, can't say it enough. Our ultimate goal is just to bring you unbiased news and just make the business world a better world.
We love it. Well, you guys got work to do. We know it. So get after it today. We'll be back on Friday morning with some more stories, with another win under my belt. Chaz Vandemotter signing off.
Dustin Trout, I'll see you Friday.